Hey, what's up? My name is Jonathan Fink. I'm the author of the Republic Baseball League, and this is my audiobook series. And today we're going to begin with Volume 1, Chapter 1. This book is dedicated to my wife, Reggie Fink, the soulmate. Chapter 1, The Barber Shop. The baseball card store, known as the Barber Shop, is located across the street from the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum on the corner of 18th and Vine Street in the historic downtown area of Kansas City. The store got its name back in 1924, during the first golden age of baseball, because the storefront used to be an authentic, old-school barbershop. Through the roaring 1920s, with its booming American economy, and even throughout the hard times of the Great Depression in the 1930s, the barbershop, with its deep roots of family and tradition, thrived and remained profitable. The store also served as the mecca of the neighborhood. For more than 5 decades, the barbershop was the place where locals would gather, talk, gossip, and debate world news and events. The barbershop had an interesting history. In 1923, a baseball stadium known as Muehlebach Field was built in downtown Kansas City, just a stone's throw away from the Jazz District near 18th and Vine. A year later, 4 brothers from Lawrence, Kansas, agreed to go into business together. Mo Franklin and his baseball-obsessed older brothers pooled their life savings and agreed to open a barber shop somewhere close to the new baseball stadium. After doing some research, the Franklin brothers realized that they did not have enough money to get their new business venture off the ground. So, they agreed to seek a bank loan. A week later, Mo Franklin sat side by side with his brothers in front of a banker named Ira Gold at First Liberty Republic Bank. Mo told Mr. Gold his family history and explained in detail how his great-grandparents escaped from a slave plantation in Missouri. For days without food or water, they wandered the countryside of rolling hills and forests until they found their way to the Kansas state line, where freedom awaited them. Gold, a short, stocky young man in his late 20s, was wearing a dark blue pinstripe suit and a powder blue bow tie. He paused, breathed deeply, removed his reading glasses, and put down his pen. He decided to tell the Franklin brothers his family story about how they arrived in Kansas City. Gold explained that his parents survived the Russian pogroms in the early 1900s. They escaped from their village in southwestern Russia, now known as Odessa, Ukraine, by hiding deep under a pile of hay on the back of a flatbed truck. Then, by the grace of God, they managed to board a ship headed to Ellis Island, New York, in the United States of America. After a long and difficult journey across the Atlantic Ocean, the ship was not permitted to dock at Ellis Island. Much to his parents' disappointment, the ship got detoured and was directed to continue its long journey to the port of New Orleans. It was August when the ship finally arrived, and the Louisiana weather was extremely hot and humid, way too hot for his parents. So, with the little money they had left, they got on the first train they could and headed north. They rode that train to the end of the line and got off at the last stop. The last stop was Central Station in Kansas City, Missouri. Gold explained that his parents initially struggled to make ends meet in their new country, but they were bright, hard-working, and realized that starting their own business would be a good idea. To do so, they sought a bank loan. Gold said, "Care to guess which bank was willing to lend my immigrant parents startup money?" It was this bank, First Liberty Republic Bank. Years later, After I became the first person in my family to graduate from college, I applied for a job at the bank, and they hired me. Gold revealed that after his parents secured that small business bank loan, they opened a food stand at Kansas City's farmers market. His parents committed themselves to the business and prayed to God for their new venture to be a success. Their prayers were answered and profits accumulated every year. The business was so successful that over the next decade, they saved enough money to start another business, a fruit distribution enterprise. That venture was also successful and increased in size over the years to become the largest fruit distributor in the Midwest. At that point, Gold opened the top drawer of his desk, took out an envelope, and handed a small business loan check to Mo Franklin. Gold shook Mo's hand and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Franklin. Go now and fulfill your own American dream." The Franklin brothers immediately put that bank loan to work, and their barbershop opened a few months later on April 1st, 1924, just in time for the baseball season to begin. The shop was an instant success, just as the Franklin brothers and Mr. Gold had hoped. Always busy with the locals, there would be a long line of customers waiting for haircuts on days when there was a home game at the ballpark. As the years and even decades went by, professional baseball teams came and went, but the barbershop remained the same neighborhood landmark it had been since the day the brothers opened for business. However, circumstances change, and nothing lasts forever. That was the case for the good times and profits at the barbershop. In 1968, the Kansas City Athletics, the local Major League Baseball franchise, relocated to Oakland, California. As a result, Kansas City's downtown ballpark, then known as Municipal Stadium, was left without a tenant. The officials of Kansas City were unable to attract another professional baseball team to the city, and Municipal Stadium was officially closed in 1972. The local economy suffered. Economic conditions in downtown Kansas City got even worse in 1976 when Municipal Stadium was demolished. Inevitably, the economy of Kansas City's downtown community went into a dramatic tailspin. In the years that followed, many businesses failed, and families moved out of the city and headed for the suburbs, such as Lee's Summit in Missouri and Overland Park in Kansas. The Jazz District, once thriving 7 nights a week with large crowds and live music, was a shadow of its former self. The local streets that previously surrounded the baseball stadium were now lined up with boarded up storefronts and littered with uncollected bags of trash. While the local newspapers described the state of the downtown Kansas City economy as a recession, for the barbershop, it felt more like a Great Depression. Sadly, in 1978, the barbershop closed its doors and went out of business. 4 decades later, in 2018, the barbershop reincarnated. Mo Franklin's grandson, also named Mo, who looked like comedian Kevin Hart, raised $10,000 on a GoFundMe page to open a baseball card shop on the corner of 18th and Vine Street in downtown Kansas City, the exact location where the Franklin brothers had their original barbershop. Although the store would sell baseball cards and memorabilia, not haircuts and shaves, grandson Mo named his baseball card store the Barbershop to pay homage to his grandfather. Grandson Mo graced the walls of the baseball card shop with photos of baseball legends including Satchel Paige, Oscar Charleston, and Buck O'Neil. Behind the counter, above an old-fashioned Coca-Cola refrigerator holding glass bottles of Coke, between a photo of Josh Gibson and James Papa Bell, was a framed photograph of Mo's grandfather, Mo Franklin Sr. Fittingly, on April 1st, 2018, exactly 94 years later to the day, Mo's baseball card store, the Barbershop, opened for business. Most everyday customers spent their time in the front of the store, perusing the barber shop's incredible collection of vintage baseball cards. The locals from the neighborhood, however, typically gathered in the back room of the store to talk, gossip, and debate world news and events, just like folks did in the old days. Most of the time, the discussions revolved around the game of baseball. One of the locals who spent a good deal of his spare time in the back room of the barbershop was a college professor named Kevin Dempsey. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2 coming up next. Thanks for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys take care. God bless.
This month, we have some great sports card stories from across the U.S. and talk to an author from nearby Leawood, Kansas, who has written a book about returning to collecting after 3 decades away.
My day job is I'm a financial advisor, so I've been investing for over 20 years. In a way to express my love for the hobby, I decided, what if I write an investment book, Sports Card Collectors Club, and treat the stock market the same way I would treat the card market. And so I thought, well, how would a day trader invest in cards? How would a venture capitalist buy and sell cards? How would a hedge fund do it? As I would go through my trials and tribulations, I realized that for as much fun as I was having investing, there was something missing. And one day I was watching the Royals game on television, and it was a rain delay. And the Car Life television show came on. I was watching that episode, I was watching Matt Strom open cards and rip packs, and I started getting the warm, fuzzy feeling. I said, this is what I want to be doing. I want to get back to really collecting and ripping cards and building sets. And that's where the story of my book has a change. I go from investing back to collecting.
I'll also open a variety of boxes from different sports. So he hit the home run off me in like the 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, JT hit a double, so he's standing on second. And Mason Wynn asked him, he's like, hey JT, he's like, I heard Strom collects cards of guys that take him deep. He's like, does that mean he's gonna send me over a couple cards to sign tomorrow? And after the game, we had won. I mean, winning is the only thing that's important to me. So it's like, I was good after the game, whatever, and JT comes up to me and he's like, hey Stromy, he was really genuine. Like he wasn't taking shots. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, when I got to second, Mason asked if you're gonna send a card over for him.
I'm just looking around my basement here, just walls covered with concert posters and toys, and just like, I have no intention of selling these things. I collect because I want to show off the things I love and do it in fun ways. And it just never crossed my mind that, hey, I'm going to go buy this thing just so I can resell it. Like that to me isn't a pure collector mentality. And obviously things change and times change. And, in order for things to survive right now, you have to have that sort of chase for something valuable.
Yeah, it needs to be a circus. You know what? The truth is, I actually watched the live stream on eBay Live with Ken Golden and Logan Paul. They ripped a box of 86 Flair and a box of Series 1 Pokemon. And you know what?
Yeah,
it was very entertaining. They're both polarizing characters. I thought it was entertaining. But you know what? After every pull, they immediately are showing the value. And it begs the question, are we creating, not we, is the industry creating a gambling culture which has a real downside?
It already has.
Right.
Not created. It's here.
Yeah, and
that's
a concern. I guess for me, I hope to be an influence where we focus more on collecting, because you know what, when markets crash, collectors don't get hurt at all. Because the Sandy Koufax you bought that because it makes you feel good. It brings back good memories.
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight.
You have created community, so let's talk about that. I went to Rip Night at your shop. Let's rip another pack. And I went to your Rip Night 2 years ago, and it was one of the best. I wrote about it in volume 1. It was one of the best times I've ever had. You guys had this giant scoreboard where you had the chase cards, and everyone can buy whatever product you wanted, like buy 3, get 1 free, whatever product, whatever it was. You then, if you pull a Bronny James, you then get another blaster. Or I pulled a Reed Shepherd auto, and then I got a free T-shirt. And I sat around the table with strangers and had the best time ever. So let's talk about how important community is. And what you guys do is provide an anchor for community in our town. How important that is.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, one of our taglines, we say we'll make an offer on anything, but like you said, I mean, we got to pay what it's worth, and so if it's junk wax, it's going to be junk wax prices, which unfortunately, a lot of people end up thinking that their 87 Tops Barry Bonds is going to be a couple $100 or
It's
something.
worth nothing, people.
Brand and notoriety. And so when you're pitching these stories to these athletes, like I've reached out to a couple of different athletes about writing a potential article about their collections and having them kind of share their story. And it's like, yes, like I write for collectibles on SI, which is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella. It does carry weight. Like it does, people recognize that brand. It is important. And so I'm super grateful that I've been given the opportunity to write for that staff.
The top segment that was done by you on you was so well produced, right? Did all that come from the conversation you had with Michael Rubin? Is that how that put you on the map to such an extent that all those opportunities happened? How did that happen? Did you get a call one day?
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that bites.
I didn't even collect when I was 3 years old. Like when this card came out, but he just pulled a good one. Roman Anthony, from Dempsey, I love Wichita State. Yeah. I would have been thrilled if he went to Tulane, but his parents have roots in Nebraska. So for him, it was coming home. And so Nebraska got a good one. And so I'm not surprised that program's on the rise because they got a great stadium. They have great resources. They got a great fan base with people like you. And their recruiting is fantastic. They're finding the talented kids. So
yeah, in fact,
the Big Ten.
So yeah, Will Bolt, the head coach, he actually played at Nebraska when I was traveling with the Nebraska team in the late '90s. He was down at Texas A&M when I worked at Texas A&M. Rob Childress is the pitching coach, and I was on the hiring committee that hired him away from Nebraska to come down at Texas A&M, and they're thrilled that he's back here in Nebraska. He's a genius. The number of players in pro ball right now that went through Rob Childress, so he'll be under good guidance when he gets up here to Nebraska. They're good people.
One kid found a mantle in the rain. One old friend came back with the same old chain.
Talk to me about the reaction of the players, the other players, when they see this bat putter. Are they flipping out? They freak out when they see it?
When they see it and they're like, they just stop. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So the reason why I asked that question is because I had that experience literally yesterday. So when I first got the bat putter, I think I bought it 6 months ago, and it's customized for the Republic Baseball League, which is so cool. And now that I realize, now that I love it so much, and I got to use it yesterday, I'm like, I got to start buying them for different people. Like anyone's a guest on my show, they got to get a bat putter, okay? Yeah. But the point is, I never use it because I thought it was too sacred to me. I keep it in my office like a sacred shrine. It means so much to me. But then I was like, after watching all these videos and stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? There's this indoor amazing place in Kansas City called Tap-Ins. Okay, they have an outdoor putt, but also indoor. And depending on the weather, the whole thing, it's amazing atrium, and it's become a successful business. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a perfect. It was a hot day. I'm like, it's a perfect thing to do. So my buddy Paul Greenwood, who I featured in my first book, we went and played around. And when I showed up with this bat putter, people were freaking out. They were literally losing their minds, and that's when I realized. And then by the way, it was a Sunday, middle of the day, hot as heck. I want to see how it gets made, but you probably do actually.
I want to see if there's quality control testers there.
But attention! If anyone on the Tops is watching, Grip and Rip we want to get invited to a tour at a factory. The two of us.
I told them I would work for free.
Right.
I would work absolutely free. I want to see how their stuff's made.
Yeah, I'm curious. But like collation is like I'm sure there's a bunch of engineers that sit around and design them.
Got some breaking news for you.
Yeah?
Slab just texted me.
No way. What'd he say? The numbers
Looks like this is the first year to hear it. Who is that?
Right.
Let me see here.
Breaking news. Grip and Rip, breaking news.
Oh, U.S. agent. Okay, so I just got told that the finest mega boxes are going to be really, really, really good.
Oh, interesting.
1.6 numbered cards a box. So you're guaranteed one numbered card with a 60% chance to pull a second numbered card.
Wow,
and
interesting.
Autos are 1 in 3.
Whoa. So do you think that Topps decided to go big because this is their first year with Topps Finest in retail?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Right? Because
I do think so.
You usually get so upset with the delayed numbers, that they're delaying them. Or maybe, by the way, I don't know if it's a conspiracy that they're the odds are coming out later. I just think that maybe they're just not as efficient as they used to be.
You might have watched this game back back.
I'm sure I did.
Currently,
it's Derek Coleman. Yeah, he was on my fantasy team for sure.
Pretty crazy to think, in the future you would be able to collect that moment that you watched.
Right. And by the way, check that out. That's worth $198 versus the ones that are worth 35 cents because it makes sense. Because the same way that you value your 1964 Willie Mays card, you're going to value your Drazen Petrovic, and you're not going to want to give it up unless it's for a very, very good price because you love that memory. And what's wild is the same way that you get the warm fuzzy feeling with dopamine hit, whatever, when you look at a card on your shelf, it's the same thing. But when you're online at the bank, you don't have your cards with you, Paulie, but you do have your phone, and you can pull up your Drazen Petrovic and pay respect to him and watch a couple of his awesome plays that give you the warm fuzzies because you can. It's wild. And so